Well, good morning out there, and we are very, very happy to see you and hope you are learning something about authority. Authority is probably, in the eyes of God, the most important principle in the entire Bible. God hates rebellion. He hates rebellion based on Satan. Satan rebelled against God, and so to speak, the rest is history. We have the world today in the shape that it's in. We're covering Old Testament instances of rebellion. One thing I love about the Bible, God didn't try to gloss over things, put a spin on it, and and He left many things in the Bible that are not complimentary, but they teach us. We learn from them. That's why that was, I believe, God's purposes in leaving them in the Bible. Today we're going to cover the rebellion of Ham. Now you say, who in the world was Ham? Well, Ham was one of Noah's sons. And he had three sons. One was Shem, one was Japheth, and of course one was Ham. And it says, as I start my introduction, and Noah began to be a husbandman. He was a farmer. And he plants a vineyard, and then after the vineyard ripens, he obviously makes some wine out of the grapes. You know, now a lot of religious people would say, oh, well, the wine didn't ferment in those days. It sure did. It absolutely fermented. And it says, and he drank of the wine and was drunken. He got drunk. And he was uncovered within his tent. He went into his tent and evidently was going to lay down and go to sleep, and he undressed. So he's lying in his tent naked. And then Ham comes along. Ham, the father of Canaan. He's known as the father of Canaan. And Canaan, I think, runs a close second to Egypt when it comes to sin. And it says that Ham saw the nakedness of his father and told the two brethren without. Now notice the difference between Ham and Shem and Japheth. Ham discusses it. Ham talks about it. Ham enjoys the sharing with what he just saw. But it says, in Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his youngest son had done unto him. And he said, cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, blessed be Jehovah, the God of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. So we see that God enlarges Japheth, lets him dwell in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. You read that in Genesis 9:20-27. And so what we learn in that incident is that failure of delegated authority tests obedience. Now there's direct authority and indirect authority. Direct authority is a distinct appointment to authority by God. Indirect is that authority uses other people in areas of authority. That's indirect authority. Now we learn in the Garden of Eden that Adam fell. In the vineyard, Noah also was defeated. There's no doubt about it. He overindulged and he was drunk. But because of his righteousness, God saved the family of Noah. In God's plan, Noah was the head of the family, like Adam was the head. And so they were under his authority. Noah's authority. God put the whole family under Noah's authority. He also set Noah as the head of the world of that time. Remember, there had been a massive flood. And in a sense, the world was starting over again. But one day, as we just covered, Noah became drunk in his vineyard, and he uncovered himself in his tent, and his youngest son, maybe we could say, well, he was young and he had an experience. It doesn't matter in the sight of God. His youngest son, Ham, saw his father's nakedness and told his two brothers outside. So far as Noah's conduct was concerned, he was certainly wrong. He was wrong. He should not have been drunk. Yet Ham failed to see the dignity of authority. Authority has dignity and should be treated with respect to that dignity. The father is God's instituted authority in the home. But the flesh delights in seeing a defect in authority so as to throw off all restraint. People who spread rumors, who gossip and talk, they love it when they see an authority out of line. They spread it all over. They tell everybody. It's in their nature. They feast on dissension. It's stimulating to them. When Ham saw his father's improper conduct, he did not have the slightest sense of shame or sorrow. He should have, but he didn't. Or did he try to cover his father's fault? This reveals that he had a rebellious spirit. He went out instead and told his brethren, pointing out to them his father's ugliness, and so adding to himself the sin of reviling. See, Satan never stands still. And he prompts you to go deeper and farther with your first failure. Observe, though, how Shem and Japheth managed the situation. They were under authority also. They entered the tent backward, thus avoiding seeing their father's nakedness, and covered their father with the upper garment which they had laid on their shoulders. It is seen then that the failure of Noah became a test to Shem, Ham, and Japheth. They were all under the same test. Two passed, one failed. And Ham's son, Canaan, it revealed who was obedient and who was rebellious. Noah's fall unveiled Ham's rebellion. Sometimes, I say this all the time. God, like there's a certain party that's trying to get into office, they never come upon a disaster they didn't love. So they use it. They blame the existing president. I'm just going to say, Nancy Pelosi went out and got her hair done yesterday, and then after she got caught and she knew better, she started blaming other people. That's the way of these folks. Well, I was set up. She was set up. She didn't know the rules and regulations. She helped write them. She helped close down every little business practically in America, but she sneaks out, goes and has her hair done, and in my opinion, didn't look any better than if she would have not had it done, but she did. And then blames other people. That's the way of rebellious people. They never take the responsibility. So after Noah awoke from the wine, he prophesied that the descendants of Ham would be cursed. God does not smile on rebellion. Remember Aaron's children. And one of them, Aaron's sister, Miriam, after rebelling against Moses, came down with leprosy. God wanted to prove how important authority was. Here we have it now with Noah. And so he curses Ham and says Ham will become the slaves of slaves to their brethren. The first one in the Bible to become a slave was Ham. I mean, we read a lot about people who were sold into slavery, but the first one in the reconstruction of earth was Ham. Thrice was the sentence pronounced that Canaan would be a slave. This is to say that the one who was not subject to authority shall be a slave to him who does obey authority. Shem was to be blessed. Even our Lord Jesus came from Shem. Japheth was destined to preach Christ. And thus it is that the nations that propagate the gospel today belong to the descendants of Japheth, missionaries, evangelists. The first to be cursed after the flood was Ham. Not knowing authority, he was put under authority for generations to follow. If you don't think a slave isn't under authority, you'd better be obedient to his slave master, or he's in big trouble. Everyone who wishes to serve the Lord needs to meet authority. No one can serve the spirit of lawlessness. So that's an example of failure to submit to authority. He was a rebel. The question today is, are you a rebel or are you under authority? All authority, direct authority, indirect authority. Well, that's going to conclude our little teaching for today. Now, Monday, you might have, when I first got saved, I could never figure out Nadab and Abihu. They were sons of Aaron, the priest. And it talks about strange fire. And I thought, well, what's strange fire? Well, we're going to find out Monday, as we're going to deal with the rebellious nature of the two sons of Aaron, the high priest. So tune in, and you're going to be learning a lot of things about authority. And you want to be under authority by all means. So that's it for today, and we will get back to you Monday. Watch Friday for the adult Bible teaching, and there'll be no prayer meeting this Saturday because it's a holiday, and we're going to take well-needed rest. So you that come out to the prayer meeting on Saturday, if you're watching, stay home and relax and rest. And then we'll be back in business on Sunday morning at 8:30. I'm going to bring a really, I think, an important teaching on the fall of man. So tune in, 8:30 Sunday morning. Be blessed in the Lord. Thank you.